What's up, everybody? I'm Brandon, and you're watching the ADHD Game Dev channel. Thank you for being here. It's so cool to have you here. I want to talk about a game dev concept that might help you, especially if you're just starting out. It's a pretty simple idea, but it is profound and it does help. And that's the idea of building up complicated behaviors out of smaller, approachable behaviors. When you're working on something that has a lot of moving parts to it, it's really important for you to write it down, sketch it out, and be very, very specific about what you want it to do. Like an enemy AI, for example. When you say, I want the enemy to wander around until it gets close to you, and then it's supposed to chase you until it gets outside of a different range and then return back to its original range. All right, that's a lot of steps. I mean, you might have in your head this idea that, oh, the enemy's on patrol and then he chases you. Okay. You really need to be specific and break those things down into very minute individual steps. Like the other day, I was thinking I want to get onto a moving platform that's stationary when you first get it, and then it drops, hits the ground, and then it starts becoming a moving platform and sticks on that moving. How do I do that? Well, I could go with physics, dropping it down, and then it creates the moving platform and deletes itself or something. I ended up winding up using just some animations to have the whole thing and switch animation tracks. So knowing exactly what I wanted to have happen, a fall and then a loop that sticks, is very, very important. So now I know, well, if I break that down into a simple component parts, an individual piece of it is going to be the fall state. Let's just work on that. How do we get it to fall? 2 or 3 different ways I could go about that. And when you are trying to build up something more and more complicated, it can be a bit overwhelming. You don't even know where to start with it. And I would say the way to start is, like I said, break it down into those itty bitty, very specific parts. In fact, I suggest the bigger, more complicated idea, you really need to write it down. Even though you think I've got it all in my head, write them down, and you'll be surprised at how many missing steps. For example, in the one that I just talked about, the enemy patrol, I said in the middle of it that they would chase you for a certain range and then go back to their patrol. That implies that you need 2 different areas for that enemy, right? You have a patrol zone, and then you have a chase zone. And then you have to decide, do they have an origin that they start out, that they go back to that origin? Or does, when you get out away from them, does this become their new patrol area? That's 2 different ways to approach the same kind of an enemy. If you want them to return to their original patrol area, that means you have to lock in their origin when they are created. They need to know where they started out and what their original patrol route was. You see what I mean? When you start walking through the steps and when you start writing them down, you start to realize what individual component pieces you need. What that comes to in coding is that you start writing a lot of variables into it that you might not have thought through. So it's very important to think it through and to think it through in those individual components to build up complexity. Anyway, I hope that is helpful to you. Even if you've got something complicated, that you will feel empowered to say, all right, let's just sit it down, break it down, and see if we can approach it. That's all from me today. I hope that you will subscribe and that you will be awesome today. Bye, everybody.